We can start now. Jerry Hodgson is sitting. Good morning. Oh, that was nice. Good morning. And welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Desert. I'm Bryna Blum, your worship associate today, as I was exactly 3 months ago today, September 12th, when we walked back into this beautiful sanctuary. So it's an anniversary of sorts. Yay, us. Today I am so happy to be working in support of my very, very, very dear friend and Rabbi Jules King, who since he was last here in our pulpit has gotten his Doctor of Ministry. At the Claremont School of Theology at Willamette University in Salem, Oregon, in spiritual renewal, contemplative practice, and strategic leadership, and is now Rabbi Doctor. His mother asked him if he was done being a professional student, and he told her, "Yes, finally, anything after this will only be to entertain myself and continually improve my life," as he is doing for us today. Before we begin, please turn off your cell phones. Acknowledging that we are on the historic homelands of the various bands of Cahuilla people, we honor the unique relationship that we hope emerges between our community and the indigenous people and their traditional territories. Let these words serve as a reminder to recognize, honor, reconcile, and partner with the Cahuilla people whose lands and water we benefit from today. I also want to acknowledge that here at UUCOD, regardless of where you or your ancestors are from or how they got here, who you love, your gender identity, your theology, politics, or immigration status, we welcome all those who are committed to our core values as expressed in our 7 principles. Together we come to this place to share our hopes, our dreams, and our visions. We seek to build an inclusive and diverse community that honors our first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every being. If you appreciate our services, the excellent classes, and the enriching programs we offer, please consider making a donation in our offering baskets here in the sanctuary or virtually in the link received with the order of worship or following our service. Your contribution is a very important way to support and, more importantly, sustain the good work of UUCOD. Any amount you donate will be gratefully appreciated and put to very good use. If you'd like to be on our email list to learn more about us or have someone reach out to you, please contact us at admin, that's ADMIN, at uucod.org. I have one brief announcement, or rather an opportunity for us to gather for reflective time amidst the bustle of our season this coming week, tomorrow, in fact, and next Monday at 1 in the sanctuary, or this Wednesday and next Wednesday at 1 on Zoom with our own Reverend Ian Riddell. Now, before we ring the Tibetan bowl, I would like to read some words that really resonated with me, especially because today is about self-care and self-compassion. A bottle of water at Costco costs 25 cents. The same bottle of water in the supermarket is worth about 50 cents. The same bottle in a bar, which of course none of us ever go to, costs $2. In a good restaurant or hotel, it can be worth up to $3. And at an airport or on a plane, you may be charged $5. The bottle and the brand is the same. The only thing that changes is the place. Each place gives a different value to the same product. When you feel like you are worth nothing and everyone around you belittles you, change places. Do not stay there. Have the courage to change places and go to a place where you are given the value you deserve. Surround yourself with people who really appreciate your worth. Don't settle for less, because you are loved. And now, Rabbi, would you bring the Tibetan book?
Good morning. I am thrilled to be here with you this morning. And I might add that I was just here Friday night for our Shabbat service, so it's not like I haven't been in the building. But being in the building with you almost makes me feel a little emotional this morning. So welcome, whether you're watching or whether you're in person. I'm just thrilled that I'm with you this morning and we're together on this beautiful day. Thank you to work. It's great to work with my dear friend Bryna. Thank you, Reverend Ian. It's been great to establish a friendship with you, and one that'll go for many years, we both hope. My congregation, when I told them we were coming back to the Unitarian Church instead of returning to UCR, said, please don't ever take us back there, Rabbi. This is home. It feels so Hamish. In Hebrew, we have a word meaning warmth, comfortable, you know. You're with family, you're with friends, you feel connected. That's the way I feel every time I walk through these doors. So I welcome all of you. Thank you for being here. Now we will continue. You're going to hum along, sing quietly. I saw it, let me look again. 'Tis a gift to be simple.
Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come round right. Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. by turning, turning, we come round right. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend, we shan't be ashamed. To turn, turn, will be our delight, till by turning, turning, we come round right. Till by turning, turning, we come round right.
I chose this chalice lighting because I felt it reflective of who we are to one another. So please read along with me. We join together as one congregation. We arrive as individuals, as couples, as families, as neighbors, as friends. We bring with us our joys and our sorrows, our laughter and our tears, our worries and our fears, our questions and our beliefs. We, members, friends, and visitors alike, join together as one congregation to lift up our highest ideals. We have gathered. Now let us light the chalice and worship together. Now if Hiroshi Yamaguchi will come up and light the Byapak candles for us. Let's read together as he does so. Thank you, Hiroshi. We light these candles in solidarity with Black, Indigenous, and other people of color as they journey towards spiritual wholeness. May we, as a beloved community, work to dismantle racism and all forms of oppression. May we live out our principles so that justice, dignity, and equity for all prevail.
Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Justice, roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Y al corazón cántale tu compasión, sopla volar, sube la mar. hasta volver la justicia de la vida. Arraigame, libérame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí.
Today is Sunday, December 12th, 2021, and these are the joys and sorrows on our hearts and our minds. Candle of gratitude from the care team to everyone in this incredible community who has reached out in support of Linda and Doug. It has been amazing. Cheryl Eaton writes, guarded celebration as friend Bruce graduated from a month in ICU to long-term care rehab in 29 Palms. More miracles are needed. Vicki Porter, who shepherded us through 18 months of virtual services, is having shoulder replacement surgery this coming week. Please hold her in your thoughts for a very easy recovery. From Joni and Bill, a candle of sorrow for the people across the Midwest who are suffering through the tornadoes that came through on Friday night. It's unimaginable how much devastation occurred and how many lives have been lost. May the family somehow find peace and comfort. Reverend Ian lights a candle of love for his cousin Brad, who is facing the end of his life, and love for his wife, children, and parents who are struggling with the coming loss. Thinking of Vicki and Diane as Vicki has her shoulder surgery on Thursday, sending healing thoughts and much love to both of them. We know it will go well. Love, Margaret and Sandy. Thinking of my ex-husband and the father of my daughters who is fighting leukemia and is in the battle of his life, Claudia Simmons. And for all the joys and sorrows not written in our book that we hold in our hearts, I'd like to read the following, followed by a moment of silence. Life is too transient to be cruel with one another. It is too short for thoughtlessness, too brief for hurting. Life is long enough for caring. It is lasting enough for sharing, and it is precious enough for love. Please, friends, be gentle with one another.
Holy One, you are the one heart that surrounds creation. Hear our prayers for peace. Hear our prayers for recovery. Hear our prayers of gratitude. Hear our prayers of need. And return to us the strength and conviction to carry our prayers beyond this sanctuary. In you there is no limit. No one is turned away. And with you we are transformed in astonishing ways. Help us to see our power, especially when we feel powerless, and guide us through uncertainty and fear into serenity and trust. May it be so. I doubt that there's anyone here, present or virtually, who hasn't felt completely exhausted, or at least been close to that, with varying levels of anxiety, frustration, isolated, feelings of isolation, loneliness. As I know, I've spoken to many throughout the past couple of years through this pandemic, worrying about not only themselves and their families, but the state of our nation and the world. And here another year is just about to end, and a new one will soon begin. And perhaps we find ourselves, because of the end of the year coming and a new year beginning soon, reflecting on mistakes we've made or things that we regret, things that we wish we had done differently. On top of everything else, we take on that guilt as well. All I can think of is, oi, I've made my mistakes. Am I going to spend a lot of time thinking about them? I think I already have, so no, the answer is not going to dwell on it too much longer. I've realized through all of this, like you, I needed to take care of myself. I've shared with Bryna and a couple of very close friends, I've had my moments of anxiety and anger and things like that. Brings up things that we may not otherwise think about so much. And I decided it was really time to practice what I preach, to take care of myself, to exercise self-care and self-compassion as I reboot for this new year that's just days away. Now, as a Jew, I decided I would look through our resources of my tradition to find out, what does the older ancient teachings have to say about that on the topic of self-care and self-compassion? Well, I found something from Maimonides. Maimonides taught that all people throughout the year should regard themselves as half innocent and half guilty. Thus, if they commit one sin, they press down on the scale of guilt against themselves. By the way, for those who may not know, Maimonides was a physician and a rabbi. And I'm thinking I would get some help from him, but nope, not there either. Talk about pressure and guilt. Now where do I go? So I looked to Dr. Kristen Neff, who describes self-compassion not as a way to judge ourselves positively or to overlook the ways we've missed the mark, but as a way to relate to ourselves kindly, embracing ourselves as we are, flaws and all. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm on the right track. I think this year especially, that we need to focus more time on self-care and self-compassion. The world is more cruel, so it's up to each of us to take care of ourselves so that we can take care of others and to be a better people. Recently, I decided to go out one evening to have dinner and have a drink. I walked in, noticed my favorite spot in the corner of the bar was open, so I grabbed it so I could watch the entire room, listen to the music, and enjoy a nice evening out. A young man came in and sat himself next to me, to my left. Very engaging, very friendly, positive young man. We talked about the usual stuff. Where are you from? What do you do? All those sorts of things. He shared with me that he had moved to Palm Springs about a year ago, but now he found himself taking a new job and living in San Diego. And I'm thinking, wow, this guy's really upbeat, just a nice guy. And I'm planning a no conversation. Now I'm engaged in a really engaging conversation with him. And then all of a sudden, this very upbeat, very positive young man says to me, he drops it like very nonchalantly, that he was doing great as long as he takes his medication. As he shared with me that he's bipolar, talked about the pandemic, exacerbating that a bit more. And at first I was stunned, thinking, how does someone who seems so cheerful and a great smile and a positive attitude have mental issues? I really thought he was joking for a moment, to be honest. Soon, however, realized he was not joking. And it made me realize once again, as I have learned especially in my adult life, that even when someone has a smile on their face, it does not necessarily mean that they're not dealing with sadness, depression, loneliness, anxiety, all of those sorts of issues. And if this past almost 2 years has taught us anything, perhaps it has caused us to realize how fragile life is and how fragile everything around us truly is. And that compassion, self-compassion, is needed more than ever. Thus, my focus this morning. I spoke a few years ago briefly about self-compassion, but this morning I'm going to dive a bit deeper into it. Every sermon I write is first to myself, and then with hopes that maybe you get something from it. We find ourselves usually extending compassion to others frequently, maybe daily, maybe many times a day. But we seldom do it for ourselves. Mental health issues are facing our nation and world, and there's so much one could say just about this topic alone. But I will say it deeply concerns me, as I believe it affects most families in different ways. The holidays tend to elevate and exacerbate depression, loneliness, and those feelings that bubble up. And it's another great reason to remind ourselves how important it is to work on ourselves first so we can be available to ourselves first and then to others. There are many health benefits of practicing self-compassion. Let me start by telling you what self-compassion is not. It is not selfish, nor is it self-indulgent. It is not a self-indulgence act to care for oneself. In fact, I would argue that it's a discipline. It will require you to focus on yourself and sticking with it consistently. It will require determination to develop a deep and personal understanding of one's own priorities and the ability to respect yourself first and then those in your life. Practicing self-compassion is just that, a practice that should actively encourage an attitude of being gentle, even in the face of tough times and when things are not going as well as we might think. It is in finding and exploring a deep and very personal understanding of one's own priorities that is coupled with respecting yourself and those around you, especially of those of your family, your friends, your community, your congregation. Taking care of oneself is likely to feel a bit selfish. It may not even feel useful. It might even feel boring. But then so is going to the gym and working to take care of our bodies. Not necessarily the most glamorous thing to do, but it is essential to healthy living. So is self-care. 3 primary behaviors of self-compassion can counter the self-criticism we have long relied on to drive us to improve. The first is self-kindness, which entails being warm and understanding toward ourselves even when we feel inadequate or we fail. The second is common humanity, recognizing that suffering and personal inadequacy is part of the shared human experience, something that we all go through, rather than something that happens to me alone. And the third practice is mindfulness, a non-judgmental, receptive mind state in which one observes thoughts and feelings as they are, without trying to suppress or deny them. I have found through my entire life that taking care of myself, especially physically, is not my most favorite thing to do. But I have learned that if I am to care for anyone else, I must take the time to focus, to exercise, to practice working out. That, too, of self-compassion, taking care of my physical well-being, mental well-being, and my spiritual well-being by exercising to become a better version of myself. I'm sure that like most all of you, I get on the wagon, then I fall off, I get back on. It's just like, that's pretty much an exercise right there. And I have learned it has to be a regular part of my daily routine to bring balance into my life. But by taking these necessary steps, my life gives me more energy on every level, and it gives new meaning and purpose to my work and my life, and to those that I love and that I serve. We're all carrying lots. I recognize that. Some more than others, but we all carry burdens. The burden of loneliness, of isolation from our loved ones for so long. The burden of not being able to grieve or mourn in a more traditional way because of the pandemic. The burden of concern for our family, of our children, grandchildren, and others that we love. The burden of worrying about our nation and our people and what is going to happen. The burden of wondering when we might finally return to a more normal way of life. In this past year, I had a chance to do lots of reading. I love to read anyways, and so I read a book in the past many months called The Beauty of What Remains by Rabbi Steve Leder. I will summarize the essence of the book to say that the esteemed Rabbi Leder gives a very personal and poignant account, an accounting of his own journey with his father who had suffered for many years with Alzheimer's, along with many other stories of their journeys as part of his collection. Rabbi Leder watched his father, once the stalwart of the family, reduced and diminished by this horrible disease. And Rabbi Leder's honesty, vulnerability, humor, and heartfelt thought, his thoughts expressed in this book, speak of having to learn about his own need for self-care and self-compassion. More importantly, about the lessons that death teaches about how to live life and love more deeply, is to truly understand, as he says, the beauty of what remains. It was incredibly interesting to me as I read the book how he transitioned from being the rabbi to being the son, and discovering his own need for healing and being able to move forward. Rabbi Leder also speaks about reaching out to others as a way to help himself, because we can get stuck and maybe we feel closed in, we don't move, become polarized by that, so we don't reach out to others. But it's a great way to begin to heal others and heal ourselves too. He writes about a true story that I want to share with you this morning, taken from A Treasury of Comfort by Sidney Greenberg, about a miracle that was witnessed by a clerk in a cemetery office. Because this story speaks to self-care and self-compassion. Every week for several years, the mild little man received a money order and a note from a woman instructing him to put fresh flowers on her son's grave. Then one day he met her face to face. The car drove up to the cemetery gates and a chauffeur came to the clerk's office to speak to him. The lady outside is too ill to walk. Would you mind coming with me to speak with her? The shy clerk walked over and looked into the car where a frail elderly woman with sad eyes sat in the back seat. A great bundle of flowers in her arms, she says to him, "I am Mrs. Adams. Every week for years, I've been sending you a money order." "For the flowers," the clerk exclaimed. "I've never failed to place them on your son's grave." She said, "I came here today myself because the doctors have told me I only have a few weeks to live. I'm not sorry, really. I have nothing left to live for. But before I die, I wanted to take one last look at my son's grave, and put the flowers there myself." "You know, ma'am," he says to her, "I was always sorry that you kept sending money orders for the flowers." She said, "Sorry?" "Yes. Because the flowers last such a short time and no one ever gets to see them or smell them. You know, there are thousands of people in hospitals and nursing homes that love flowers. They can see them, they can smell them, but there isn't anyone in the grave, not really. The old woman did not answer. She sat for a while and left without a word. The clerk was afraid he had offended her, but a few months later he was surprised with another visit. But this time, there was no chauffeur. The woman sat at the wheel driving herself. "I take the flowers to the people myself," she said. To the clerk with a smile, "You were right. It does make them happy, and it makes me happy. The doctors don't understand what's making me well, but I do." One thing we know is that sorrow and tragedy happen to all of us. It is, after all, a part of being a human being. I spoke recently in one of my sermons that we do have choices to make. We can choose life. We can choose love. We can turn curses into blessings, to draw joy from sadness and life from death. We can choose to take care of ourselves also. Perhaps we can learn something from this old woman and her flowers, finding our way out of the darkness and caring for ourselves, but also being able to reach out to others. All of these things should make us understand the absolute importance of self-care and self-compassion more than ever, and then, and only then, extending it to others. We all have enough to carry, and for some, they are alone, and carrying everything alone. So we will be there for them because we've done the work to take care of ourselves first. I'd like to quote from a favorite poem of mine from Rabbi Alvin Fine. "Birth is a beginning and death is a destination, but life is a journey, a growing from stage to stage, from childhood to maturity and youth to old age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength, or strength to weakness, and often back again, from health to sickness, and back we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, from grief to understanding, from fear to faith, from defeat to defeat to defeat, until, looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. So my hope for you this new year, that will soon be here, that each day you will look forward. You will look for, find, and honor that holy divine spark within yourself. You will care for yourself. You'll find that self-care and self-compassion to make this new year a better year. Each day, see yourselves as I see you, imperfect but holy, worthy of self-compassion and love, and capable of great acts of kindness and graciousness. Be kind to yourselves so that you can grow in compassion toward others. Our world needs all of us to be a source of love and healing. Peace. Salam. Shalom.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
don't know about you, but Rabbi King's sermon really resonated with me today. Please join with me as we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
And now for my benediction. May this time of sharing with our family and this community bring peace and understanding to all of us. May it bring us to the recognition that we depend on each other for all the good that we can ever hope to receive, and also for the good we can hope to accomplish, because it rests in helping others in return. And now may we go in peace and love. Shalom.